If you look at him today, you probably see what everyone else sees. A scruffy, golden-haired dog with milky, sightless eyes. People often stop us on our walks. They tilt their heads, let out a soft sigh of pity, and ask, "Oh, poor thing, was he born like that?" I always smile, pull his leash a little closer, and say, "No, he earned those eyes." They usually don't know what to say to that, but they don't know our story. They don't know that 3 years ago, this brave little dog made a choice that cost him his vision just to give me my life. His name is Rusty. Before he was mine, he was just a ghost in the neighborhood. A terrified, skinny stray who lived in the overgrown woods behind my property. For months, I tried to coax him near. I'd leave bowls of chicken and rice on the edge of the patio, sitting quietly on the steps, just hoping he would trust me. He never let me touch him. He would just grab a mouthful of food, lock his golden eyes with mine for a brief second, and vanish back into the trees. We had an understanding. I provided the food. He kept his distance. I thought I was saving him. I had no idea he was actually watching over me. It happened on a Tuesday evening in late November. I was in my detached garage, organizing some old boxes near my workbench. I still don't know exactly what went wrong. The fire investigators said it was likely an old electrical fault mixed with some spilled paint thinner. 1 second, I was reaching for a box, and the next, there was a deafening pop, followed by a wall of intense heat. The fire didn't spread slowly. It exploded. Within seconds, the doorway was entirely blocked by a curtain of orange flames and thick, heavy, black smoke. I panicked. I tripped backward, knocking over a heavy metal shelving unit that crashed down, pinning my leg to the concrete floor. I screamed for help, but I lived alone, and my nearest neighbor was a quarter-mile away. The smoke was filling the room. I was coughing violently, the extreme heat surrounding me. The lights had blown out, and the only illumination was the terrifying glow of the fire consuming the walls. I remember closing my eyes, the heavy realization washing over me that I couldn't escape. I felt completely trapped there on the cold concrete. And then, through the roaring sound of the flames, I heard it. A frantic scratching. A yelp. Suddenly, a small, golden blur launched itself through the burning doorway. It was Rusty. He didn't hesitate. This dog, who had spent his entire life running away from humans, charged directly into the danger for one. He grabbed the thick collar of my winter jacket in his teeth and pulled with a strength I didn't know he had. As he dragged me out from under the shelf, the intense heat and flying sparks surrounded us. The environment was overwhelming, but he didn't let go. He kept pulling, his paws slipping on the slick floor, dragging me inch by inch until we spilled out into the freezing night air, right onto the wet grass. I passed out from the smoke. When I woke up in the hospital 2 days later, my first words to the nurse were, "Where is the dog?" The firefighters had found us together on the lawn. Rusty was at the emergency vet. He had saved my life, but the intense heat and smoke took a heavy toll on him. The vet told me over the phone that the exposure to the harsh elements had completely taken his vision. He was completely, irreversibly blind. The vet gently suggested that a feral, blind dog would face an incredibly difficult road ahead. He hinted that giving up on his recovery might be the easiest choice. I checked myself out of the hospital that same afternoon against medical advice, took a cab to the clinic, and walked right into his recovery room. He was shaking in the corner of his cage. I sat on the floor, ignoring my own bandages, and softly said his name. For the first time ever, Rusty didn't run away. He army crawled toward my voice, rested his bandaged head in my lap, and let out a long, exhausted sigh. That was the day we made a new pact. He gave up his sight for me. So I promised him I would spend the rest of my life being his eyes. The transition wasn't easy. The first few weeks at home were heartbreaking. He bumped into walls. He was terrified of sudden noises, and he would freeze in the middle of the room, totally disoriented. But we worked together. I put textured rugs near the stairs so he could feel the edges. I wore a tiny bell on my shoe, so he always knew exactly where I was. Today, if you saw him running around my living room, you wouldn't even know he's blind. He has memorized every square inch of our house. He is the happiest, most affectionate dog I have ever known. He sleeps on my bed, his head resting squarely on my chest, listening to the heartbeat he saved. Those cloudy eyes might not be able to see the world anymore. But whenever he turns his face toward me, following the sound of my voice, I know he sees everything that truly matters.